Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Rob de Eusica.
Y yo soy Dome.
Y estamos aquí, traemos para ustedes unos invitados muy especiales. Tenemos a Chris Martin IV, que es CEO actual de la compañía de Martin Guitars. Y también tenemos a Craig Thathcer, que es un músico profesional y aparte es el embajador internacional de Martin Guitars. Y vamos a hacerles una entrevista y esperamos que les guste mucho.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. Well, we are very happy that you are here. Thank you for being here.
It's our pleasure, Craig, right?
Absolutely.
This is what a great store. Oh my gosh.
We are, thank you for coming here. And also, we know that Martin now has 191 years old
Yes.
of history, and we wanted to hear like the beginnings of Martin from you, from the from the actual CEO. So
Okay.
if you can tell the people that are going to watch this,
Okay,
like the
sure.
story,
Yeah.
and that.
How many hours do we have?
Well, the beginning. So if you can tell us.
Okay, the beginning, sure.
The beginning, yeah.
So my great-great-great-grandfather, as a young man, apprenticed with his father in my family's business in Germany of making furniture. In that town, they made violins, but they didn't make guitars. He obviously was very intrigued by the guitar. The guitar is an ancient instrument, came up from Mesopotamia, but by the late early 1800s, it became something we would recognize. And his father got him a job in Vienna. He moved to Vienna at age 15 and worked in the Stauffer workshop, learned how to make Stauffer-style guitars, married a woman from Vienna, briefly went back to Markneukirchen, and in the fall, in September of 1833, he got on a schooner in Bremen with his wife and his son and daughter, and their worldly possessions, his tools, some raw materials, probably some guitars, sailed across the Atlantic, spent 6 weeks on a boat, landed in Manhattan, had arranged to rent a shop and a store, and opened up the first Martin Guitar Workshop at 196 Hudson Street. And last November 6th, Craig and I and a bunch of my colleagues went to that location to celebrate 190 years of being in business.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That was like hearing Santa Claus telling us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, like the tone of your voice and everything, how you spoke it was like, oh. Nice. Yeah. All right, so Craig, tell me about your approach to guitar. How did it happen? Because
How
we
did I
know,
get
we know
started?
your influences.
Yeah.
We know a little bit of your influences, but how was for you personally, like your approach to the guitar?
Well, I first started playing guitar in 1964, like millions of other guitar players after watching.
Yeah, that's an interesting
the
year,
Beatles.
1964,
64,
right? The British
yeah.
invasion.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
We saw Ed Sullivan's show, a television show in the States, and they were on in February, and I said, that's what I want to do, you know? So we had a guitar around the house. My father played, and I have an older brother, 6 years older, and we had guitars around. They would sing and play. And this guitar was big. I was a little kid, and it was a big old dreadnought size guitar.
There's nothing wrong with that. Craig.
Nothing at all, except it wasn't a Martin at that time. That's the only thing that was wrong. So I started, this little kid playing on a big guitar. They made me stay on that for 2 years to see if I was really serious or not. And then I got a very inexpensive Japanese copy of a Stratocaster, an electric guitar. That was my first solid body guitar. So by age 10, 1966, we had a band, and on our website, there's pictures of us playing. When
How old were you?
10 years old.
You had a band at age 10.
At age 10, there's pictures of us playing with all these little girls in the room.
So now we know why you're
Just like the Beatles.
Yeah.
You see?
Now
Just
we
like the
know.
Beatles.
That's what we
It's always the
aspired to
girls.
be, you know. And 68, I started making money with it when we were 12. We got our first paying gig.
Oh my
And it's been a myriad of bands and groups and guitars and both electric and acoustic. But you know, let's fast forward to when Chris asked me, I was playing in a venue on Wednesday evenings, a little restaurant, and Chris and the upper management team were out there
Having dinner. Yep.
Yeah, they were having dinner.
And I had known about you because we have a mutual friend.
Dick Boak, who was with the company for like a zillion years. And he came up to me and he said, "What are you doing next Tuesday night?" And I said, "What would you like me to be doing?"
Nice
And he said,
answer.
"Well, we have a board meeting and I like some entertainment." So it all really started there.
Wow,
I started
okay.
doing
Our
it
relationship,
outside.
yeah.
That's how it started. And then when the Performing Artist Series guitars in 2009, when they were being developed, I was brought in for ideas and take it out for evaluation. Come back, this felt right. This maybe could use a little tweaking,
Okay.
that sort of thing. And then in 2010, I did my first NAMM show with Martin, which was promoting that guitar. Sat there for like 7 hours playing that guitar, 4 days. But you could do it because it was a performing artist with a brand new neck shape, easy to play, no fatigue on your hand. It was just wonderful. Introduction of a whole new neck profile. And since that time, it's just gotten more and more advanced. And
Nice.
So, when we do this, full disclosure,
Okay.
I do not play the guitar. I did take lessons. I didn't practice. I'm surrounded by people who know how to play the guitar better than I ever will. I do know how they're made. I can talk guitar construction all day long. I love telling the story. But when I go out to tell the story, people want to hear music.
Okay.
That's why I travel with Craig.
Yeah, you're like the dynamic duo.
Yeah.
he's Batman.
That's great.
Yeah, so we were talking also about Rob was going to ask this question. We were talking before about that. You have your daughter, Claire.
Yeah.
So we were like reading on how was your approach to the family business,
Yeah.
and I read. I have to be honest. I watched the Sweetwater interview. That was amazing.
Okay.
And you talked about that you first wanted to be like
A marine biologist.
a marine biologist, and that was really cool. And then you go and you worked on a guitar store.
Yes,
So-
in California. Yes.
And one of the doubts that I have is which thing on the guitar store was for you like, I want to know. What was the thing that make you have that approach?
Okay. So my parents were divorced. My mom and dad did not get along during the marriage and after the marriage. So my mom didn't encourage me to even pay attention to the family business. I was going to be a marine biologist. And then Fred Wallachy, when I was in high school, said, "Are you sure you don't want to think about the family business?" I said, "Maybe." He said, "Why don't you come out to Los Angeles, go to UCLA, you're full pay, they'll take you, you have good grades, and you can work in my music store." I thought, that's cool. I'll go to California. Well, I'm this nerdy kid from Pennsylvania. I go out there. Everybody's better looking. All that stuff that people that, I don't know. I won't get into that.
Yeah, you were like an outsider.
An outsider, right. But Fred, he didn't realize I didn't know anything about the family business. He puts me out on the floor and says, "Go sell Martin guitars." I didn't know what I was talking about. And pretty soon he's like, "You don't know what you're talking about, do you?" I said, "Fred, I didn't grow up in the family business." Then he says, "Okay, go in the repair department and help John Carruthers repair guitars." Well, that was a disaster because I didn't know how to repair guitars. I thought, if I'm serious, I have work to do. So I called my mom. I'm in California, going to UCLA. I said, "Mom, what? How's it going?" "It's okay. I'm quitting college. I'm coming back and I'm going to work in the factory." Silence. So I came back and I spent time working in the factory. What I learned from that experience was two things. One was an extraordinary appreciation for my colleagues who do make these beautiful guitars. And the other thing is, unlike Bob Taylor, Chris Martin is dangerous with a chisel. So I realized my job should be like all of the Martins, is to manage a guitar building enterprise. And I also realized, and I'm an introvert, we talked about this, that I should tell the story. Who can tell the Martin story better than Mr. Martin?
Yeah.
And so that's what I love doing, is telling the story and reminding the customers about the dedication that my colleagues have, both in Nazareth and in Navajoa, to make great guitars. And so I'm so proud to be able to represent them when I come and do things like this.
Have you seen some interest in your daughter and the company so far?
So family business dynamics are complicated. And my feeling with Claire is that she needs to follow her bliss. So she's going to Syracuse University in New York State studying journalism. She did say, Dad, I'm going to take some business classes. I said, that's good. Just to learn the language of business, we'll see. Because a lot of times when you study family business dynamics, the worst thing that can happen is the next generation feels obligated.
Yeah,
I have no other choice. I have to do this because mom or dad wants me to. And it's like, no, Claire, you have to make a choice. She will, I've done a lot of estate planning, she will inherit the company. She could someday just be chairman of the board and manage the guitar building enterprise as chairman, hire good people, pay them well, hold them accountable. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's beautiful because if she shows like her interest from heart,
exactly.
It's going to be better
her to
for
feel it. I don't want her to say, I'm doing it for Dad. No, Claire, you're doing it for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
Well, she don't need to be worried. I mean, we are like 11,000 or more, 100,000 of people who wants to be CEO of Martin company.
That's right.
So
well,
she doesn't have to worry about that.
Today I'm executive chairman.
Okay.
And I hired a gentleman, Thomas Ripsum, who wants to come visit.
Oh, okay.
So I think Thomas is going to come visit. So hopefully you get to do the same thing with Thomas.
Yeah.
Because he's very excited to be CEO of Martin Guitar. He's a guitar player. He's an artist. So so when Thomas is going to come, so you have to get him to do this, all right?
Yeah,
say, Chris wants you to do this.
Thomas, please, you're welcome.
Please come.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that Martin, it's really important in the history. Also, on Monday is March 4th, and I read that it's going to be 30 years of the first guitar that was sent into space and was a backpacker that was custom made for the astronaut. And I was really amazed by that because the picture of him like being so happy with the little backpacker. And I want to know how the connection with the NASA happened. How you
I think that came from our friend Dick Boak. I don't know how it started, but the gentleman that took it into space was a guitar player. And I think he contacted us and said, can you give me a Martin guitar to take into space? And we're like, would you like a D45? Would you like a custom guitar with the koi inlay? He said, well, I have a personal locker and it's this big. Do you have anything this big? And we said, we have ukuleles. He said, I'm not a ukulele player, I'm a guitar player. That backpacker was custom made for him to fit in the locker.
Wow.
Because he was only allowed that much personal property. It would have been cool for him to have had a D45 in space.
Of course, and wow, that's amazing that you can share that with us. And also, we were going to ask you also of the memorable moments that you have as the CEO. Your journey of being a CEO, which are your most memorable moments?
So when I took over, my dad caught the folk boom in the 50s, rode that all the way up till the British invasion, and then folk and rock collided, and he rode that basically to the late 1970s. The Eagles were sort of the last great folk rock band. And then the business was very challenging after that. We talked about this, right? Disco, hair metal, digital sampling keyboards.
Guitars were not really.
So when I took over, the business was struggling, honestly. But I thought, okay, that's it. This is the business. And Dick Boak, again, Dick should be here, right? Well, we should take a shot every time we say Dick both. He comes into my office one day and he says, I got a call from MTV. I said, the rock video station. He goes, yeah. About what? They have this crazy idea. They want to have rockers come into the studio and play their famous rock songs on acoustic guitars. And that reignited the market.
Okay.
And you're familiar with, you followed MTV Unplugged, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it got a slow start. It actually didn't start off, right out the gate really gangbusters. But by the time the Eric Clapton special came out, that was the one that really set the world on fire with acoustic guitars.
Yeah, that's right.
Again.
That was really something. It brought it up, and you know what? It stayed up.
Yes, it didn't drop off.
It didn't
right?
drop off.
That's right.
That's nice. Gran. Oh. Well, I was thinking about the Eric Clapton Unplugged. So I'm sorry. I was thinking about the music.
And you do Clapton
right,
shows, right?
Yes, we do. Clapton.
You did a couple shows?
Yeah.
We do.
Clapton?
No, not with him.
Not yet.
Not with him. No. We.
But you have worked with some people that have inspired you to.
I know that you've worked with a lot of cool people.
And it's been a.
Yeah,
I'm not a rock star, but I have.
You are a rock star.
No.
Come on, you can recognize a rock star just like looking at him.
Oh, you are. Thank you. I'm a grandfather.
Well, you were talking earlier today. What was
know.
one of your favorite celebrity musicians that you got to play with?
Mark Knopfler. I spent a day with Mark Knopfler. Dick and I were in London, and we went out to Mark Knopfler's British Grove Studios, and we had lunch, and we discussed all sorts of things. And then he said, "Let's go have a play." And those iconic guitars that we've all seen him play, the Les Paul, the Red Stratocaster. There was a 1935 D18 that he had, and he said to me, he held it. He said, "What do you think of this guitar?" And he put it in my hands, and it was light as a feather.
Whoa.
And a fan had given it to him.
How many fans have given you guitars?
Nothing like that.
Oh my God.
And so, that was a real memorable.
God. I mean, those are like memorable moments.
Yes.
Like from
Lifetime.
your life.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris. Dome is gonna make you a question.
Oh, okay. Sorry. sorry. Yeah. So we were talking earlier that Navojoa it's having
35th anniversary.
35th
Very
anniversary.
special. Yeah.
And actually, one of my favorite guitars is the Dreadnought Junior that is made from Sapele. I love that guitar. It's amazing. So, can you tell us about the process of choosing the location of the factory?
Yes, it just kind of happened. So the Boers are pretty well connected in Navajoa, and we get a letter from a gentleman named Jim Cummings, and Adrian Boers went to live with Jim Cummings in St. Louis. And this is before the maquiladora became official, but there was, everyone kind of sensed that something's going to happen with Bill Clinton allowing America and Mexico to have a better economic relationship.
Yeah.
And so Jim cold called us and said, if you ever have an interest in manufacturing in Mexico, I can help you because I'm friends with the Boers, and the Boers can set up a maquiladora in Navajoa. And we thought, okay, MTV Unplugged was creating demand, and we were kind of out of space. And we're making strings. My dad bought the Darko String Company from the Didarios, and we were like, well, we'll give it a shot. Okay. We sent 6 string winders and 1 ball ender down to Navajoa. I will say, my board of directors was skeptical. They had, to be fair, they had a vision of Mexican workers that was not fair to Mexicans, all right?
All right.
Oh, mañana, and they're, I'm not going to get into it. But you know.
Yeah, okay.
And the strings came back, and quality assurance said, they're fine. And we were off to the races. So we moved the string division down there. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make guitars in Navajo? Because I don't want people to say, oh, I can't afford a Martin.
Okay, yeah.
Nazareth Martin guitars are expensive. So I ran into a fellow that had created the backpacker.
Oh, okay.
And we formed a partnership, and that was the first guitar-like instrument we made. And then we started to make the X series, and then the Little Martin. And now we're making solid wood, full-size gloss instruments in Navajo. The quality is Martin quality, and the price is a little lower than Nazareth. So a Navajo Martin is your first Martin. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, my first Martin is a Little Martin.
Yeah,
There you go. Right.
I was actually thinking about, because this is gonna lead to the next question. Because I was thinking about buying that guitar. That guitar has been my favorite guitar.
Okay. Yep.
I've been working in the store like for 3 months, and that guitar is the one I pick up like always. I don't know why, but that guitar.
Yep.
And that guitar has retro strings. So my question for Craig is, what do you think about strings? I mean, we talk about here in the store, here in Eusica, a lot about strings, like these strings, the bronze, copper, blah, blah, blah. And I always say to the client, like, these strings, man,
The retro
they
strings.
rock.
Yeah,
They
do.
rock. And I love them because you get kind of I don't know, I hear like a T-Rex kind of sound, like acoustic T-Rex sound, or a Bowie sound, like very dark.
T-Rex.
Not-
Wow, I haven't heard that from you.
I was also like that. so can
what do you think? Can you tell us what are your favorite strings?
Well,
and why?
I agree with you on certain models. The Monel steel, that's an old style
It
string.
is. Yep. They've been around for a while.
Gibson had them. They were called Mona steel strings. Back when I was growing up, I can still see the orange packages that they came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a long, long time, that was the way guitar strings, they were made like that and looked like that, nickel colored. When phosphor bronze came out, there was also an 80-20. So the 80-20 are the more gold-colored ones, and then phosphor bronze came out after that, and they're the ones that are really common today.
Yep.
Phosphor bronze. However, I got to
They
be
give you
honest.
that bell-like sound that a
You
lot
do.
of people, they're looking for that.
You do. But on certain particularly smaller body mahogany models, I love the Monel. And on my 00028s, I love the 80-20s.
Well, what do you know?
I really think
just
the
like you.
80-20 works really
I
well.
feel so proud of myself.
I think that's a great string.
And I think, Craig, the Monels are probably a little more durable.
They are.
The bronze strings, they deteriorate. We were in Phoenix. We went somewhere, and someone was proud to show me their old Martin, and I said, it's an old guitar with old strings. You need to put new strings on your old guitar.
I bring the guitar to life.
Vintage strings are not a thing.
And I also tell a lot of the clients, for example, they come and they say, oh, well, I want to play that guitar. And sometimes I play it and they say, no, it's too bright. And I tell them like, wait. Well, give it a shot, but with a different string. Because the strings, like everybody talks about wood, everybody talks about bodies. But I think that strings play like a very important part of the sound.
Oh, seriously important. And they're made right here.
Yeah. All the Martin strings are made in Navajo.
World, but all the Martin strings
You
are
can
made
have a
right here in
very
Navajo.
cheap guitar with good strings.
There you go. I like that. You put Martin strings on your cheap guitar. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for last, thank you for answering and for being here. We want us to one of each one of you to tell the persons that are watching this, like, what do you want to tell them? Like, here, hey,
If you got something to say,
we have,
to our beautiful audience.
You want me to go?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to go out on a limb here. If you ever come to the U.S. and you're ever in Pennsylvania and you're ever in the Lehigh Valley, you need to come and visit the Martin Guitar Factory. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. If you're ever in Navajo, stop by the factory, knock on the door, tell them Chris sent you and that you're a guitar or a string fan and you'd like a tour,
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm booking my
What do you
flights.
think?
I
What do you think about
I'm
that?
booking
What are they going to say?
What do you think?
That
would
is
be awesome.
that is amazing.
Juan,
That
I
would
know
be-
Juan's like, what? I have to give tours? Juan, if someone hears this and they show up in Navajo,
Yeah.
we'll give you a tour.
It's a great
thank
cruise,
you.
Yeah.
too.
Thank you
They
so
really
much
are.
for
I
that.
can imagine.
And if you're anywhere near Mexico City, you got to stop right
what
here
a great
in this
store.
place.
Oh, my gosh.
You know,
Oh, my gosh.
this
What a
is
great store.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about one very important question for you, Craig. Do you got any tips or tricks for recording a guitar? I think many of our audience would like to hear some tips and tricks.
Well, the best thing is, okay, you have your guitar set up. Well, I was going to say that, let's say your guitar is all set up, you got the proper strings, you got your action set up, you're ready to record. So if you're recording, traditionally, you're going to go into a microphone, even if your guitar has a pickup built in. Now, the other way you can do that, of course, is take one line out from the pickup into one channel, and then use a mic for the other channel, and then blend the two together. Or put them in stereo and separate them, far left and right. But you need to use a good condenser mic. You don't want to use a dynamic mic. I love Shure microphones. I've been a Shure user since the 60s. And
Wow.
I love them. But a 58 or a 57 is not going to make your acoustic guitar sound the best that it can sound. You need a condenser mic, a more sensitive mic to pick up the full frequency range. So once you have that set, the placement for an acoustic guitar is like right about between the 12th and the 14th fret, pointing down towards the sound hole. You don't put it right in front of the sound hole. It's too boomy there. Even if you back it off, it's too boomy. Some people will use another type of a condenser, a larger condenser, down by the lower bout, but not up here. And so between those two mics, then you have to just make sure they're on the same plane.
Yeah,
Because if they're
in
not
phase.
on the same plane, you get phasing effects. So once that's all sorted, just record. Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
Cheers.
that.
What a pleasure to do this. Thanks.
So thank you for being here and answering the questions. We hope to have you back sometime.
I'm coming back.
How about next week? What are
Yeah,
you doing?
we're only here for a day. We haven't seen anything. We got to come
I got
back.
T-Rex records.
There you go.
So, thank you. Gracias por ver este video. Estamos muy felices de que hayan que hayan venido Chris Martin y Craig Thathcer. Estamos muy contentos y déjenos en los comentarios qué quisieran preguntarles, qué quieren conocer más sobre Martin y esperamos que la siguiente vez les podamos preguntar más cosas.
Adiós.
Así que eso, say
Adiós.
bye.
Cool.